tell you at this point in time that supporters of the governing party clad in party paraphernalia have made their way to the precincts of parliament, in this case around the dome. You remember when the leader of the group said that they had picked intel that it is rather their opponents who are going to be busing people to the venue, and there was no truth in the claim that the military will be there. Well, it is the supporters of the MPP that are there in their numbers at this point in time. What did I tell you in the morning? You believe some of these pronouncements in terms of strategy, you believe it at your own peril. The days will just finish and then we know that it is done. We are suffering too much because of. Well, Ibrahim Alassane is making his way to Parliament. Once he gets there, we'll paint a picture for you as to how things are looking in Parliament as we speak. One of the most anticipated days in the life of our 8th Parliament. You think E-Levy was won? Well, here we are with the vacant seats, brouhaha, also creating another spectacle on its own. Mutala Inusa, our legal affairs correspondent, is here. He's joined us in the studio. It's been a while you heard from him. He's been indisposed for a while after that unfortunate incident at the hands of some unscrupulous members of Lalifor Marcus Church. Journalism is not a crime. Let people practice it in peace. We are reporting things as they are. We are not manufacturing alternative facts. Yesterday, there was quite some activity in Parliament as well. Bernard Morner had his case dismissed. Also, Oliver Bakaboma satisfied his bail conditions and was released. But did he really have an issue getting people to stand as sureties for him? It was not entirely the case. Well, it wasn't necessarily the case. He had said at the point that he had suspended the processes in solidarity with some of the individuals he had met in the cell for better conditions of better conditions of service. For better conditions under which they are kept. I wasn't in court. Mutala was there. So he will give us all the rundown we need to know about what is happening in Parliament. Oh my goodness. There's so much happening in Parliament to the extent that my mouth is full of Parliament. What has been happening in court? Mutala Inusa, good morning to you. How are you?
Good
How
morning,
are you?
Aditi. Doing good.
You're doing
Quite.
good. You're doing
Yes.
better.
Much better.
We thank God.
Yes.
Good, good,
Today
good,
a
good.
lot is happening in Parliament, so everyone,
All
all eyes,
eyes are on
uh,
Parliament. It's
all eyes
it's
are in that.
interesting.
It's in order. Whatever will happen in court is insignificant to what will be happening. No matter the cases that are coming in court, the whole eyes are in Parliament today, and so even those of us in court will be having our eyes in Parliament
You know.
because from Parliament they'll be coming to the court. So we just have to be monitoring events and know what actually the issues will be and all
Yeah.
that. So but since Thursday, Friday, I've been hearing Tuesday the
Be able to
ABC.
BB Bessie. BB Bessie.
And today is Tuesday. The Tuesday has come. I can't wait to hear from IB what's happening in Parliament as we speak, right up to the point where Speaker will sit in his chair, and then we'll begin to hear all the and those of us in court, like I said, will be paying attention to what the parliamentarians will be dealing with or will be doing in relation to the Supreme Court
Yes.
decision and all that. So it's quite packed day. It's a day that we'll be hearing all the bite, all the sound. There was a video I saw earlier on our platform about that action. Have you seen the action I'm talking about? The parliamentarians in action. Some of them, whether they were playing karate, whether some of them were into kickboxing and all those stuff.
Charlie.
I don't know whether we'll be having a repetition of.
I hope we do. I hope we do
doesn't.
not get
I
there.
hope it doesn't.
Yes, I hope we do
I'm
not get
expecting
there.
a very Parliament to put a stamp on. You know, you're in an election year.
Yes.
And so whatever happened in Parliament will have a bearing on what will happen in December and all that. So quite interesting day to look for. Very hope a day that's packed of very interesting things to hope for. Yes.
All right, so let's talk about the courts. Yesterday,
Yes.
Bernard Mona had his hopes dashed
Yes.
in relation to getting the courts to overturn the decision of the Electoral Commission to disqualify him from the
Yes.
contest.
It was a day that Bernard Mona, in fact, it didn't go well for him because he had hoped that the High Court in Accra, per an application that is a writ that he issued, he was seeking a judicial review in the nature of the jurori to quash the decision of the EC to disqualify him. And his claims or his grounds were to the effect that, look, one, the EC made allegation of some errors committed. They didn't give us specificity to those errors. Secondly, the EC never gave him and the party the opportunity to rectify those anomalies and all that. So the High Court should nullify or should quash that, declare as unlawful that particular steps taken by the Electoral Commission, declare that he rightfully submitted a form that was proper and should be allowed to be on the ballot for the 2024 presidential elections in December. The EC looked at this, also came on opposed to that and said, look, EC, Bernard Mona, PNC were given the opportunity to correct those anomalies. There was also an allegation of one person signing 4 signatures as those who endorsed the form. That point, Bernard Mona and his lawyers dispute that. They said, look, if you have identified that, you can't just look at it on the face value and say that the signatures look the same. More so, you have not also subjected it to any forensic examination to detect that. So that cannot be the point. But Justice Richard appeared to look at, welcome all the submissions, look at all the processes that they have filed, said, look, one, but it is clear that the EC gave Bernard Mona the opportunity to rectify those anomalies, and he didn't. So he waived his right to correct those mistakes. Again, PNC as a political party since 1992 have been taking part in the elections, and so they have enough experience that they could have helped Bernard Mona to file the forms as they have to be, and so they were not meticulous about their own forms that they were. Court also wondered about why some political parties managed to get it right, and then the PNC and Bernard Mona did not get it right. So in totality of all, the court said the request, the release being sought or the action in court is discretionary in nature, and the court, upon listening to all the parties, is not exercising discretion in favor of Bernard Mona. It's rather endorsing what the Electoral Commission has done. But Bernard Mona has been speaking and said, look, he's making a reference to a professor setting questions for his student, and that professor makes mistakes, but the student who is supposed to answer the questions that are riddled with mistakes is not allowed to make mistakes in the answer. Let's listen to Bernard Mona.
And just before we listen to Bernard Mona, it's some 2 minutes past 8 a.m. The members of parliament have started filing into the chamber of parliament. You would recall that that statement that was issued from the House indicated that the chamber was going to be closed until 8 a.m. when they will be allowed in. So as of now, they started doing their security checks and entering the chamber one after the other. Let's now hear from Bernard Mona, who is not happy with the outcome of the High Court's decision.
This is a professor setting a question for you to answer, and the professor makes mistakes in the setting up of the question, and you, the student, you are not allowed to make mistakes. What kind of rational thinking is this? The EC made mistakes on their own forms. You are aware of that. Both parliamentary and presidential, the EC made copious mistakes, voluminous mistakes, and they are allowed to make mistakes. But we are not allowed to make mistakes. And a judge will listen. In the affidavits that we submitted, we pointed out to the EC's own mistakes. The judge is not minded to tell the EC that as a professor, as a teacher who is setting up the exam questions, you made mistakes. So therefore, the students can also make mistakes. The judge did not look at it, but he's saying that the students ought not to make mistakes, even as the lecturer and the teacher can make a mistake. This certainly defies ordinary thinking. With the parliamentary and presidential candidates, and point out what they think are the errors. In this instance, we are not even part of it. The Electoral Commission just sat somewhere, claimed that they have a technical and IT committees. Doesn't the PNC have an IT committee? Don't we have an IT person? So if the EC was determining issues of IT, then our IT person should have been there, so that they will be able to iron out the IT inadequacies that they are talking about. None of these things were brought to our attention, and then the judge will come and grant the wishes of the court, the EC. We think that justice has been grossly traversed, and we will go to the Supreme Court. There cannot be doubt that this is like a calculation to ensure that the people's choice of the president is not on the ballot.
So that is Bernard Mona. Essentially saying that...
Yeah, an attempt to ensure that the people's choice is not on the ballot. And he thinks that once given the opportunity, he's surely winning the presidential election for 2020.
For 2020, okay.
Yeah, so he said he's going to the Supreme Court.
All right.
Yes.
We'll move to the Oliver case shortly.
Absolutely.
But just to give a quick update to our listeners
It's
as
very,
well.
very important.
At the
Today
moment, I mentioned that the MPs have started filing into the chamber. What it is that we've had some of the NDC members go to sit on the side of the majority. Yeah, there are also some members of the NPP group in parliament who have also occupied that side. So as of now, we have both NDC and NPP occupying the side of the majority. We'll be giving you the updates as and when we get them. So that is an idea as to what is happening at the moment.
How many
somebody called the Popo. So let's talk about Oliver Barker-Vormawor as well.
So yesterday, Oliver Barker-Vormawor was able to meet all his bail conditions, 20,000 Ghana cedis, 2 sureties, no justification yesterday. In fact, being led by the mother, Bennett Kumoji, he was able to satisfy all the conditions yesterday around 3:15 thereabout. He walked into the registrar's office and then signed that thing. In football, it says sign the thing. So that contract is signed. So he signed that particular bail conditions, and he has been let free for the time being as far as the case is pending. In fact, on Thursday, 24th, they will be back in court. But Oliver Barker has been speaking as far as this very case is concerned. Let's take a listen to him.
You all on social media continue to show and the support that I've received from you all. I am eternally grateful. There's no way I can repay that faith. There's no way I can repay that sense of mobilization and togetherness that we have shown over the past few weeks. Unfortunately, I am but Oliver. I can only ask for more. I'll continue to ask for that solidarity. I'll continue to ask for that sense of togetherness, even as we go forward in the coming weeks. Because without that, without our sense of purpose, our sense of determination and enthusiasm that we're shown, even against all odds, particularly by persons to whom we have who we have given our republic to and who hold it in hostage. We would need you in the path ahead. And I'm certain that in the ways in which you have responded to the call, in the ways in which your voices have kept me alive and also made sure that those who have gone through this tragedy for our republic will not be forgotten, I am certain that when we call on you again, you'll show up. Because that's who we are as Ghanaians. We show up for each other. And that even those who continue to appeal to our west, to the west part of us, we continue to show them the better angels that are within us. We show them that we care for this country. And despite everything that they do, we won't stop caring for this country. We won't stop believing that tomorrow will be different. That we can solve poverty in our lifetime. That the challenges that we face, there's nothing within this country that we cannot mobilize to rise above our current station. That is my message to the media houses across the country, to rally in sympathy with the Rastas, to call attention to what is happening. And it's a reflection of the growing atmosphere of violence that is targeting journalists that we have seen become normalized in the Republic over the past few years.
So that is Oliver back at Former yesterday when he finally met his bail conditions and was leaving there. But he said he has, in relation to things that he's gone through with the police, in the coming days we'll hear from him. But these are some of the things that he said, calling for support. Erasmus Asare Donko, who was attacked, he sympathized with him and all that. But there's one person in the midst of all this, the mother of Oliver back at Former War, Madame Bernice Kumoji. Yesterday, she played a role in having her son released on bail. And she said this in Chi. Let's listen. After that, we'll explain it briefly to you what she has been saying.
So me da radio say ya jai ni mo ama me ene na ye ko fie na ni dia be sa na oba ke bia e fe no oba bia ni ho o fe ni ba bo ni ana obeka se ni ba ko problem bi mu a e ha no so me da radio.
So that is Bernice Kumoji, the mother of Oliver Barker, so happy about the fact
such a relief it will be for her.
Absolutely. Yesterday you could see immediately Oliver walked out of the registrar's office, very big and warm hug for Oliver, and it was so an amazing moment for her. So she is happy that she had a son back who has been in lawful custody for a while now, for close to about 3 weeks, right? Yes. So now finally he's back home. But Oliver said he will tell a story more in the coming days.
Okay,
yes.
All right. So what are we to expect in court today?
So yesterday, the O'Reilly Senior High School matter also was on. Police are still saying that, and prosecution is saying that they're still waiting for the AG's advice on the case docket. It's been adjourned to November 4. They're hoping that by that time, but the court also, by that time, it would have been ready. The court also cautioned the investigator to be very careful, because yesterday, at the time that the case was called, the accused person was not brought. The court said, look, but the parents or the family of the deceased who was buried 2 days before the court sitting are also asking that justice should be served. But of course, today, as we do know, some justices of the High Court will be going through some training, some sensitization of a sort in relation to insurance. So that is one of the things that we'll place focus on. And of course, some of the things. One of the sets of the Democracy Hub will also be in court today. So.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Mutala Inusa, our legal affairs correspondent, and he telling us all that happened in court yesterday and what is going to happen today. So what it is that at the moment, there are a significant number of NDC MPs in Parliament, over 30 of them, and about 4 or 5 members from the NPP group in Parliament. And so the majority of the NDC members have gone to sit on the side of the majority. As you do know, both of them are insisting that they are in the majority. And so it definitely promises to be a showdown, because one of them has even said that, well, even though the Supreme Court has ruled, the Supreme Court should come and enforce the ruling in the chamber. And Parliament is the master of its own rules. Let's see how this will unfold. Will there be an anticlimax, or, as many have said, will cooler heads prevail in this particular situation? Well, as of now, with the things we are seeing, many think that this is what it's going to be.